Hello, and welcome. Welcome to another podcast. Of course, this is Terry Edwards and Drew Edwards with another podcast, and we're joined by our guest today, which is Ian Mitchel. Ian, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Terry. Good to be here.
Excellent. Before we get into the podcast itself, Ian, can you just give us an overview of who you are and what do you provide to your clients, please, mate?
Yep, Terry, we are 7 Steps Recruitment. We are a sales recruitment organisation. I set the business up 7 years ago. We're now in Ireland with a Dublin office, and we have a Glasgow office. Set up in Ireland about 2.5 years ago, so that's the growth part of the organisation. Me personally, I've been in sales recruitment for about 20 years now, Terry.
20 years?
Yeah, Jesus. I know I look young, but it's...
Seriously, you look
1998.
Yeah, excellent. And in terms of you say sales recruitment, what type of sales recruitment is that, Ian?
Business to business sales, Terry. So it can vary. A lot of it's technical type sales recruitment. So it could be construction supplies companies, construction supplies manufacturers, engineering, do some IT stuff, do some business services companies. The key thing is all business to business, and about 95% of that is field-based sales positions. Anything from sales exec through to sales manager. Don't really do any exec stuff. It's mainly sort of sales-based or sales management sort of level.
Excellent. And from your point of view, how did you get into this sort of recruitment, sales recruitment?
I fell into it, Terry. We worked in a different field many years ago. I went for an interview with a sales recruitment organisation, one of the leading companies at that time, and they offered me a job, and that was it. That was here we are, 20 odd years later. So it's been good. It's exciting. It's mainly permanent within the sales field, obviously. Mm-hmm. So have your ups and downs that you have with permanent recruitment, but it's good fun. It's fast paced. Dealing with salespeople is pretty fast paced. So yes, it's generally pretty good fun, like all recruitment businesses.
Yeah, excellent. Cheers.
Awesome.
Anything to add to that, Drew?
Yeah, Ian. So look, one of the reasons we wanted to get you on a video interview today, you're going through you went through our Accelerate program, now on our Elite program. I just wanted to get some of your feedback from how it's went and what you've learned. So my first question is, what were, I guess, the top 3 business challenges that you had before you joined our program? Like, what was the reason that you sort of reached out to us in the first place?
I think, like any small business, Drew, it was the boom and bust months. It was a good month, a bad month, a good month, a bad month, a good month, a bad month, and that went continuously, and it did for most of the years we've been in business. It's kind of been like that. You might have a couple of good months and a bad month, but it was just trying to get to the point where we can get more sustained periods of doing well in the business. And that's about volumes, I guess. It's about increasing the volumes throughout the whole organisation, and that gives you more consistency. Bedding in new staff, and I've known you guys before I engaged. I'd been looking at your stuff for about 18 months. It seemed to fit. You know what it's like. I get business coaches approaching me every week from different sectors and different fields, and it's something I've thought about for a number of years. And then when I hooked into you guys specialising in recruitment, then it seems to be a good fit in terms of me increasing the levels right across the board.
A couple of questions there. You've been approached by other coaches and so on, but what were your reservations about working with us?
I guess like any business coach, it's for a small business like mine, it's the outlay in the beginning. The first thing when you speak to any business coach, you or anyone else, is we're not so much you, but the other coaches I met with, is we're not going to cost you money. That's the first response to come with, because any money you pay out will make you back quickly. So it's just about getting your head around that and having enough trust in the person you commit to. With you guys, I guess I've been looking at you for so long. I had that trust already. I'd been following you for 18 months before I decided to engage, and that trust was kind of there already, guys. So it was just then taking the step and thinking, I'm happy with where the business is going. I'm happy with life in general, and if the answer to that is, well, there's some of those boxes aren't ticked and I'm not happy with, then it's time to take a step forward and take the leap, and that's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. And what for you? What was it that I guess made you? You followed us for 18 months. what was it that sort of made you feel like, okay, now's the time I want to reach out, now's the time to sort of pull the trigger, so to speak?
Honestly, we were going through a bit of a lull in business, and I thought, you know what, I need to do something about this. And like anything else, if you don't make changes, then nothing's going to change. So I know recruitment better than most. I know sales recruitment definitely better than most. But it's okay me being able to do sales recruitment, but it was then feeding that through the business so everyone can do it. And so we've got enough things happening from a marketing point of view that were, you know, the numbers would change, because the 7 years starting the business, numbers hadn't really changed. It was pretty steady across the board. We'd have a good year some years, but in general, the turnover and the profit was pretty much the same every year. And unless I changed something dramatically, then it was going to keep on like that. No matter how good I think I am, you know, you need someone else to push you forward, you know?
Yeah. So it's an interesting point there. Something we often say is that your activity and your thinking, whatever your activity and thinking is right now, it's going to give you the results that you're getting right now. And until you change your thinking and until you change your activity, you're absolutely right, Ian. Nothing changes.
It's about changing across the board, Terry. It's not even. I've always been a positive thinker, and you know, I've always had enough belief in myself that I can do it, and I still have that. But it's about getting the team to buy into the whole vision, and unless you're doing enough things to make those changes, then the team don't really buy into it unless they're in the same mindset. And my team are all relatively fresh, and it's about getting enough stuff. It's a process, I guess. There wasn't enough processes before. Now we're starting to get a bit of process and a bit of automation, and people are all doing the same things, and people are buying into the whole Terry Edwards and Drew Edwards vision. It's funny, you know, it's kind of a joke in the office, you know, in terms of everyone's buying into it, and it's kind of, you know, it's a funny one, you know. It's the whole business is buying into it rather than just me doing this with you guys, you know.
Yeah. Excellent. So how long? I'm going to say that we've been working together for about 4 or 5 months. Does that sound about right to you, Ian?
Yeah, I think it was May. Yeah, so 4 months.
Yeah, right. Okay. So in 4 months. So far, this is early days because people seem to think, you know, they can talk to us one day around the next day. But you've been with us for 12, 16 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
What have been the results that you're finding so far, Ian?
Probably didn't kick in until May and June, I guess. As you know, it was we weren't on the elite program at that point, so it was more of a softer touch with you guys. Since we moved on to the elite, a turnover, I guess, over this quarter is up about 20k. So for us, that's a decent increase. Our turnover next quarter is targeted at 50k increase year on year. So it's now starting to kick in. We're starting to see more activities. You know what it's like. You're not the Wizard of Oz. There's no magic wand to say, right, okay, flick a switch and that's it. It's about hard work. You know, it's about changing the mindset. And for me, it's not even just for business. I've changed the whole mindset. And some of the audiobooks you've got me listening to, it's about just changing how you think, not just in your business life, but also in your personal life. And it motivates you. And I feel like it's really strange. And you don't say this lightly, but I do feel like a different person in terms of how I'm coming into work, and I've got a spring in my step, and I'm just generally more positive on everything. Yeah. And it does rub off in the whole team. Now we can see already there's a slight increase, obviously 20k increase in the quarter, which is good. Next quarter's when I think we'll really see the benefits, when the marketing stuff is starting to kick in, and I guess you'll go through that in this conversation in terms of what we're actually doing.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you because people listening to this won't believe it. Have you increased the number of cold calls that you're making, Ian, or do you make any cold calls at all?
Yeah, we do the 10 before 10, as you say, you know the answer already. So we do the LinkedIn cold calls. We've always done that. We're doing it heavier now through Linked Helper. But we're doing the 10 before 10. It's generally, with some people, it's more than 10. Sometimes it's 10. But we're doing that religiously now. Every morning, as soon as we get to 9 o'clock, everyone downs what they're doing, and we start doing the 10 before 10. So it's just numbers, Terry, like anything else. You know, before we get caught up, when you're doing a 360 recruitment role, it's very easy to get caught up in dealing with candidates and doing the follow and closing the business. And before you know it, you're getting to the end of the month and you've not done any cold calling. And you think, okay, I've had a good month this month. You know, you're not too worried about the cold calling at that point. But one thing, you know, in recruitment, it'll bite you in the bum a couple of months later if you haven't been doing the cold calls, you know. So it's now religiously, no matter how the business is doing, if we're doing an extra 100 grand profit in a quarter, we'll still be doing the same cold calls every day, because that's the key. You know, I've known it it's weird, I've known it for 20 years. I've done it myself. I started doing that in recruitment when I first began, and it's funny when you run your own business, you almost slip out of the mode, and you kind of, you know, you're doing your own thing and you're not focusing on the business enough. And that's what I'm doing more now, is focusing on the business and driving the team and all the different KPIs that we have, you know.
Excellent.
Perfect. So just on you mentioned mindset there a few times. What's been sort of the biggest shift from sort of how you think now compared to before you joined the program?
For me as an individual, it's just about believing you can do it. You know, I think when you run a small business, you get caught up in the stresses and strains of life in general. I've got 3 young kids, and then you get caught up in that. But now I'm getting out of bed earlier. I'm doing an hour earlier in the morning. I'm doing a little workout session in the morning before I have breakfast. I'm coming in and I'm just prioritising my day better. It's a bit, you know, that's a big thing that I didn't do before. I'm not very organised. I'm more of a sales type recruiter, and organisation isn't my strength. So it's about changing the mindset. You come in, everyone does a to-do list every morning, and it's about just, when you don't want to do something, just do it. If you don't want to make a call, just phone the person you don't want to phone, and gradually get in the routine that it just becomes a habit where anything you don't want to do, you just do it anyway. And before, I would be completely lightly, if something I don't want to do, I'd put it off and put it off and put it off, and then eventually I would do it. Nowadays, if I don't want to do it, I'll just do it anyway. I'm trying to get that mindset throughout the business. I'm trying to get everyone in the office. I don't want to hear negatives. I don't want to hear problems. I want to hear positives and solutions. And people are buying into that, and they're coming back with ideas and solutions rather than telling me what the problem is. And it's about getting everyone thinking that same way. And it's funny. It does change the way you think. And I'm not just saying this for your podcast, I genuinely just feel all round far better, not just about the business, but I've definitely got a spring in my steps since I started doing all this. It's good.
Yeah.
So mindset-wise, sorry, Terry, mindset-wise, I think it's just you're, I guess, now more committed to doing the uncomfortable things every day that you know are going to drive your business forward. What about actual business strategy? If I break it down into a few areas, if we compare the number of hiring managers you were speaking to before you joined the program to now, what does that look like?
For us as a business, well, we just weren't really doing a lot of cold calling. It was more, we didn't do the telephone cold calling very often. It was more a case of we did a LinkedIn approach, and if we didn't get them through LinkedIn, we didn't really do anything else with it. So it was, which is strange to say because it's not the way I was trained. But so now, you know, I would say each individual is doing an extra 10 telephone cold calls a day, each person. But then we're doing the LinkedIn.
Again, like when you say cold calls, do these have these when you're using the phone? Are you calling prospects who have never heard of you before, or have they had some sort of previous interaction, even if it is online or?
So that's what we've been working heavily on that with you guys over the last 2 or 3 weeks, as you know, and we're trying to get to the point, the 10 before 10, and I got Terry to do a separate session with the whole team on it. 10 before 10, it was too much cold calling, where we're phoning cold people. We're trying to change that now, and that's why we did the extra session, so it's more warm. So there's a bit of trust. So we're doing a number of things, which I can go into just now if you want, or perhaps do it later. But we're doing a number of things so that the 10 before 10 is a warm call. There's a bit of trust there. We're trying to get away from phoning a business who has an immediate need, and we're spotting an advert and they're using 2 or 3 agencies. We're trying to get away from dealing with those people. Trying to do it now where the people we're talking with don't have a need at the moment. They'll get a need coming up in X amount of weeks or X amount of months. So we can build up the trust. We can maybe, they say you need to touch someone 6 or 7 times before they buy from you. Yeah. So we're trying to get to the point. We've already sent them a couple of LinkedIn emails. We've started sending books to people, which is really good. That's proven really successful. And so we're trying to get to the point that by the time they've got a need, they already have a bit of a trust. And then hopefully we can get a retained or an exclusive a bit easier because there's a bit of trust there.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to me about that. So you before you were 100% contingency before? Is that right?
Yeah. Before we were about 90%. Yeah, 90% contingency.
9% contingency, but now you sort of, rather than going for people who have a need now and perhaps already started the process, you're sort of making a shift to people who will have a need in the next 30 to 90 days or so. How has that changed in terms of, are you winning more exclusive or retained assignments compared to before?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're knocking back more contingency-based stuff. I would say now about 30% of our business is retained. And there's probably another 20% on top of that that's exclusive. So we're just genuinely now not working with anyone contingency unless there's maybe us plus one other agency. We're knocking back business, I would say, every day of the week, which is really difficult at first. I can get my head around it, but for the team, they still find it difficult in terms of throwing away business. And when we started doing it, it was a real pain point trying to keep the team motivated with throwing away business. But they're starting slowly to get their head around it now. And I'm just trying to drive, higher fees, retained fees, less contingency. Of course, sometimes if someone's super committed and they're using one other agency, we will still do it if the fee's high enough. If the fees or fee levels are increasing, again, we're just not working on any fees below a certain level now, which we would 100% have worked on before we started speaking to you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking to more hiring managers, working on more exclusive and retained assignments, charging higher fees.
Yep.
What difference had that made? Again, I know we know in financial terms, in terms of,
yep.
You said that this quarter you're at 20K, next quarter targets do 50K up.
Yep.
How, I guess my question is, like, in terms of how hard are you working? What difference has it been in terms of the amount of work that you're doing?
I think the team, including me, we all worked hard. So I think it's getting people to differentiate from hard to working smart. I think the to-do list helps massively. And no one really did that before. We had a calendar and we used our Outlook and we did set reminders to phone people on our CRM system, and we did all the normal stuff that every recruiter does. But it's about structuring your day. It's about keeping your head down. It's about if someone throws something at you and it's not on your to-do list, keep doing what you're doing and finish what you're doing, and then start. If you get something new, put it on your to-do list for later in the day, unless it's completely urgent, which most things aren't. And it's about getting through more in the day. I've got people just working a little bit longer in terms of time, just an extra, even an extra half an hour a day. But during the day, they're structuring the day properly, so they're getting through everything. They're doing their cold calls religiously before 10. And it's just about getting people structured, Drew, so that that they're doing the right things. You categorize your priority list in A, B, and C, and they're doing the A list first, and then they move on to the B list, and then they move on to the C list.
Okay.
But fundamentally, it's about the amount of things we're doing in terms of the market and stuff. That's what's giving us the most warm activity in terms of the amount of marketing stuff. We were doing a bit before, but it's night and day compared to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think it's quite revealing to the things you're saying here, Ian. See, most recruiters, when they speak to a hiring manager, they ask the hiring manager whether they're recruiting now. And the hiring manager says, yeah, I am. We've got this vacancy for an XYZ. We're down to second stage interview. And most recruiters go, let me get some CVs or resumes to you, which is bloody crazy, as you well know. I know. And if you're talking to a hiring manager and they're recruiting now, 4 or 5 of your competitors have got a head start on you. So, your chance of actually filling that role are not existent, but it's pretty difficult. But what you said earlier, a bit later on, is that you're turning those away now. Those kind of contingency roles, you're saying no. But let's work on what do you say? 30% of your business now is retained. So the client's paying you up front.
Yep.
The client's paying you up front. They value and respect what you're doing as a recruiter. They're not saying, yeah, if you've got anybody, send them through to me. And 20% of your work is exclusive, which is fantastic.
Yep.
But if you're working on exclusive, you're not competing with the world and his wife on that particular assignment. And I've said this many times. Most contingent recruiters don't fill most of the roles that they get. So the industry norm is like 20-30% they will fill. So out of interest, it'd be interesting actually. When you were 100% contingent recruiter, do you know what percentage of the roles job orders you were actually filling? Yeah.
Probably 20%, I would think. Back in those days, Terry. Whereas, as you know, with retained, I would say there's you fill 90. There's very few, I'd say, over the last 3 or 4 years on any retained work. There's maybe 1 or 2 we haven't filled.
Yeah.
You pretty much fill them all, apart from the very, very odd one. So contingencies, I'd say 1 in 5 roughly we would work at in terms of our ratios. But it's not even that, Terry. It's about, it's getting people's head round to think, well, we can fill this, we can maybe fill it with a good candidate. We've got a chance of filling it, but then it's about saying, well, okay, how much time are you spending on that? What else? Yeah, okay, you don't have anything else to work on right now, but the X amount of days you spend trying to fill that contingency piece, what else would you be finding when you're, during that time, especially if one of your consultants is quiet and they don't have a lot on, they really, really find it difficult to say, no, I'm not going to work on that.
Yeah.
But it's just getting their head around, right, okay, that makes sense in theory, but that amount of time you're going to spend on that, what else could you be doing? Where else could you be cold calling? Where else could you be business developing and finding new, committed, retained, exclusive stuff? And it's just about changing the mindset. And it takes time. It's at the start, it's about me telling them what to do. You need to keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away until it becomes a habit. And then gradually you get there. And once it's a habit, it takes less work from my point of view, obviously.
Yeah, and you made 20% success rate on your contingency roles, which meant that 80% of the time your team will work in, and they will never get paid for it.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's crazy, but crazy. And you think that everyone's doing it. You think all the recruiters something down the land. Most of them are still doing it, and most of them are going to keep doing it for and it's crazy. I mean, the more you think about it, it's crazy. Really good point there. And you're also getting higher fees as well. Yeah, I mean, some of that is we're driving the business towards Ireland, so the salaries are higher over there anyway. So some of that's, but in terms of what we've changed is engaging with you guys. We've just set the fee at our fee lowest level now is 20%. We just don't go below 20%. Retained or not retained, their lowest fee is 20%. And before we'd be liable to take the 15%, semi-regular. Nowadays it's 20%. That's our fee. We start it higher. We show them that they're going to get a discount for retaining us. So we might start at 25 or 30%, and they're quite comfortable by the time we get to the 20%, which for us is good. And the targets, I've done a sort of 12-month letter to myself. Terry, that was one of the first things you asked me to do. And the target next year, our lowest fee is going to be 21.5%. So by next August, our lowest fee level will be at 21.5%. And it's just about gradually increasing it, so there's no big increase for the client.
Just on that, like, nearly every recruiter we speak to wants to get higher fees. They feel like they're undercharging and being undervalued. And one of their sort of, I guess, big concerns are, when they do increase their fees, what effect are you going to have on their current business in terms of the clients they're already working with, and I guess future business that they could potentially win as well. How have you found it when you've sort of set your minimum fee? No, that's it. How have you found the market's reacted to that?
Well, Drew, especially as a client that knows you and trusts you and you're doing a good job for them, it's easier to get a higher fee, obviously, if it's a candidate. The good thing is in Ireland just now, the candidates are harder to find and harder to onboard. So you can justify the higher fee. I'm not saying it's all us, you can justify the higher fee in Ireland a bit easier than you can in Scotland, for example. But it's like anything else, you have to, if you've built a bit of trust before you talk to them, this is why that's so vital. If you cold call someone and they don't know who the hell you are, then trying to get higher fees is going to be more difficult because there's no trust. If you've built up the trust and you've done the 6 or 7 touch points by the time you get to that stage, then it's easier to get the higher fee. And it's just about trying to read people. I mean, I'm a salesperson. It's trying to read people in terms of, they might tell you they're only going to pay 15%, but it's just about you remaining firm. And guess what? More often than not, they'll come higher. You get the odd. We try not to deal with the corporates or the blue chips, because quite often they do have pretty firm structures in the fees. But your SME, that's our core business, Christ, if they're going to pay 15% for the right person, they're going to pay 20%, let's face it.
Yeah.
And I think some really good points there, Ian. Thanks for sharing about the trust. Clients will only buy from you when they actually trust you. And also the point about a shortage of good candidates. So your client can't say to you, I know there's a shortage of good candidates, but I'm only going to pay you 13%. There's no logic to that whatsoever, And when clients say that, but you've got that now, and it's got you some great results from actually just understanding that. So purely in terms of percentage terms, no more than that, what sort of percentage increase overall would you anticipate over a 12-month period, since working with us, purely on percentage terms?
Well, if I flip that around and just put an increase in turnover, our increase in turnover target is 50k a month extra by this time next year. So we're at this quarter, we're roughly doing about an extra 10k already per month, and then next quarter the target's an extra 20k per month, and then by next summer it's an extra 50k a month turnover. Without, and I'm talking about doing this without making any real increase in our overheads, so that's pure profit. So it's, anyone can go and hire an extra 5 or 6 consultants and increase the turnover, right? But I'm doing this. I took on an extra admin stroke marketing girl that Drew spoke with yesterday. Aside of that, my overheads to get to that level that we've targeted for next year are going to be pretty similar thereabouts. So that's the key, is about making, no good increasing your turnover but not increasing your profit,
Absolutely. So what you're saying is an additional £600,000, $800,000 without bringing in additional consultants.
Correct.
And you're absolutely right. It is about the profit, and all that's adding to your bottom line. Awesome. Yep. I hope your consultants are listening to this, because no doubt they'll be talking to you about a pay increase, and I'm sure you'll be
Listen, Terry, it's an easy conversation to have if we're hitting the targets that we're setting them. There's no problem.
Yeah. No, seriously though, that's brilliant. Well done. Excellent results. I think there's a real lesson there. You made a really good point. Most recruitment business owners that we speak to, and they talk about they want to add another $500,000, or in your case $800,000. They talk about bringing in more consultants, and it's always a gamble, isn't it? Because you know this, Ian. Most of the consultants you bring in don't work out anyway. Yeah. Not to mention the cost involved in that. But you've kind of got it. You'll say no. You're going to do an additional $600,000 or $800,000. With the same overheads that you've got now. That's fantastic. And yeah, not only do you deserve a round of applause, your team undoubtedly deserve a massive pay rise as well. So I'll be talking to them later about that.
We'll talk to them next August when we're at the figures. But I mean, it's about being. You can go and hire 3 consultants, as you say. One of them will work out, and 2 of them won't work out, and then it'll be 12 months for them to get up to speed. Whereas the stuff we're doing, the woodpecker emails, the 10 before 10, the linked helper, the get prospect, the sending the books. I mean, that's just, we've only started that. Terry, you and I discussed that, what was that, 2 weeks ago maybe? Yeah. We've just started doing it for the last 2 weeks, and it's the upkeep. I mean, I reckon we're sending out 20 books a week at the moment. So it's costing maybe, in their sales-based books, the Sales Challenger books. So it's costing maybe a couple of £100 a week, but you think, if someone gets a book, as you and I have discussed many times, you're going to be able to phone them and discuss it with them, and have a conversation. They're going to listen to you. And yeah. I'm trying to get the whole business now where it's not, I'm not talking to anyone about sales recruitment. I'm talking to them about, developing the salesperson, managing the salesperson, keeping the salesperson, which is very difficult with salespeople because they tend to move jobs pretty often. Yeah. And those are all the conversations, all our emails, all our marketing. All our drive is towards anything but sales recruitment, and so that by the time we get to the point where they need to hire, then they think of us as the salesperson expert rather than the sales recruitment expert, and that's where the sending the books comes in well. And we've just started it, but I've no doubt now that all those people will answer the calls when I phone them, because they'll feel obliged to answer the call. Yeah, because what you're doing in effect, see, most recruiters, they're competing against other recruiters. So from the hiring manager's point of view, all they can look at is, well, what's your fee? You're 15%, you're 80%. But what you're doing is you're positioning yourself as the authority. You're providing a solution to the MDs and the sales directors, which is what it's all about. Because people don't want recruitment; they want the solution to their problem. Excellent. No, they're not interested in recruitment. Because try and talk to them about recruitment, they couldn't care less. You try and talk to them about how you can increase their bonus or their profits by improving their sales, and that's a different conversation. And it's just about positioning the way they think about you as a business. So you're not a recruiter. People don't like recruiters. The natural, it's like recruiters are pariahs for a lot of customers. We don't have a good name, and that's the go-to for how someone thinks of a recruiter in the main. And it's about just positioning yourself properly. And we don't need to lie about it. We do understand the salespeople. I've been recruiting salespeople for 20 years. Yvonne, who runs the team for me, has been recruiting salespeople for 17 years. So we do genuinely understand salespeople better than most, So we're trying to impart that knowledge onto the client, because we do have that knowledge, but before we wouldn't really, we'd find them a good salesperson, but we wouldn't really help them out on the sales piece, which is what we're trying to do now,
Brilliant, fantastic, excellent job there. Some real useful stuff there.
So Ian, what's been, if you could sort of, I guess, summarize everything we've learned so far together, if you could, so anyone listening to this, you could give them sort of one piece of advice if they want to increase their profits, revenue, get better results in their business. One piece of advice, what would you say?
I would say don't hire new staff. I would say go through the program and go through the marketing piece. Now, you hire staff down the line. If your profits are up and you want to hire staff, then great, fantastic. You'll get to a point where the marketing stuff can do so much. But Jesus, there's so much more money to be made without having to hire someone new, and it's so much cheaper, and it's less risky, So to me, if you go through the process, and it takes a lot of work. Most owners that will be listening to this podcast will be entrenched in their business. They'll be doing the job day to day, and they won't be outside the business looking in and doing all the stuff that I've been doing over the last 3 months. And Jesus, if you just take yourself out and just spend more time on the business rather than in the business, it makes a massive difference. But it does take dedication, guys. It's not, none of this is easy. It's hard work, and it's every day.
Yeah. Great, thanks for that. So that's a really good point. It's simple, but it's not easy. Yeah. That's a really good point. Ian, I really appreciate you sharing your findings with us. So that's greatly appreciated. I am really absolutely delighted with you, because I wasn't aware of those numbers that you just shared with me. So I just also need to talk to Drew about putting our fees up with you, but that'd be a private conversation.
Another nervous laugh.
Yes, no problem, boys. Easy.
Seriously, mate, that's fantastic, and I appreciate the comments, but I want to add to one of the things with Ian is that we've shared the information with Ian, and Ian's implemented it, because people think if I just read this book, if I just get this information. But here's the thing: what we know is the recruitment and search business owners that enjoy the most success are those guys that get it, and even if there's a little bit cynical, some of the things I may have shared with Ian or Drew may have shared with Ian, he's like, well, I don't know. But he's just going, do you know what? I'll just test it. Because then your opinion's based on the results of your test rather than, but my market's different. And one of the things with you, Ian, is that you have just kind of got on with it. And I really appreciate that. And you've got the results to prove it. So excellent news. And well done.
The funny thing is, Terry, they see and this is what I would say again to people who haven't engaged with you yet, but are listening to the podcast. Some people look at what you're telling them, and you're doing a lot of videos, and they'll think, oh Christ, I can do this myself. But it's a really fundamental point that when you're not paying for something, you tend to slip and you don't do it, and you fall into old habits and you don't really push it.
Yeah.
See, because I'm paying you guys for the program, bloody hell, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna action it. I'm gonna push it every day. And that's one of the key. A lot of people will look at what you guys do and think, Christ, I can go and do it myself. Thanks for the tips, Terry. I've seen your video. But it's completely different when you're paying for something. You will force yourself to go and do it religiously to justify paying for it. And to me, that's one of the big things to remember, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, because there's greater value. And by the way, that's the same with your clients as well. The client's engaged you and paid you up front.
Yeah.
Completely different relationship to the client that says, send me through some CVs or resumes whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Exactly the same
relationships. Yeah, absolutely. Drew, anything else you want to add or ask?
No, I mean, I just want to say well done for the sort of early start you've made. I'd be keen to sort of get you back in sort of 6-12 months time, and just to hear the progress from that point on as well. But it's a brilliant start.
Excellent. Really good, guys. Superb.
Excellent. Ian, thank you very much indeed. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter, and of course Drew and Ian Mitchell from 7 Steps. Thank you very much indeed, Ian, for joining us. Until next time, guys, take care, take action, and be relentless.
Yeah. Sorry, just to add, if you've listened to this and you sort of like what you've heard in terms of Ian's results, and you want to speak to us, see if we can help you do the same, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/call, or send us a message, and we can get the details to you.
Yeah, awesome. Good point, Drew. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.